Hey, it's me, Bad B. I'm back. Today I thought I would talk about kind of a weird topic and not something I thought I would ever have to deal with, having been diagnosed with cancer. So, you think that if something like this would ever happen, everyone would be there for you and your friendships would strengthen because people care about you. It is not always the case. And this is actually rife throughout the cancer community, but lots of people just don't know how to deal with it. So your family can go a bit weird. And in my case, I love my family, but as you saw from the reactions, people react to it in different ways. My mom, when I told her I was coming home from Japan to continue treatment, she just sent me a random video of an apartment. And I was like, okay, why are you sending me this? And she's like, oh, I didn't tell you. I bought an apartment in Thailand. And I was like, what? And she's like, oh, I didn't tell you. I'm in Thailand right now. And this was in June. And I said, how long have you been in Thailand? And she said, oh, since April. And I said, okay, when are you coming back then? And she said, oh, next April. And I was like, what? You're going to be there a year? Okay, fine. My mom is a manic pixie dream girl. She's just all over the place. There's that. And she doesn't really text that often unless you text her. And then there's my dad, who I love so much. He's not a talkative man. He doesn't express his feelings. My dad always says no news is good news. So he will also not text you unless you text him or call him. My brother, on the other hand, he is also not very communicative and he'll reply a couple of days after I've texted him, but otherwise that's kind of it. My mother-in-law let me live with her and I feel guilty, but she won't let me pay for anything and she won't let me do anything and cook for me and take me places and take me to appointments and everything's so nice, but I feel terribly guilty. If it was my own parents, I wouldn't feel so bad because I'm not her child. I was like, can I please give you some money? And she just gets super offended. And then, oh, I want to help around the house, but she's like, no, I can do it myself. And she has a certain way of doing things, which you cannot disrupt. I'm really lucky she's letting me stay with her, but yeah, I feel really bad. Then there's my father-in-law, who is very similar to my husband. He's exactly the same. They even kind of look the same. But he texts me now and then and he said something really nice. It was in a random text. So my husband has two sisters and we were talking about one of them, the younger one, and he's like, yeah, I'm very proud of her, but never tell her that. And I was like, well, yeah, you should be proud of all your kids doing so great. And he said, I am proud of them, but I'm most proud of you because you're being so brave. And I was like, look, it was be brave or be dead. And he's like, we're all going to die sometime. But I just thought that was really touching. And he's like, you've got to take care of yourself because I really like you. And I was like, oh, it's not something that would come from a man like that. He's a very gruff kind of older man. So I really appreciated it. With my extended family, so I've got a couple of cousins in America on my dad's side. And, we exchange cards and we see each other when we can. And when we do see each other, it's like no time has passed. But with the time difference and the distance, it's just kind of hard to keep in contact. One of them has social media but rarely uses it. The other one doesn't use it, but they're both kind of bad at communicating online, the Line app and stuff like that. But it's brought one of my cousins closer together. So the one that I went to Ikebukuro with, I feel like we've gotten a lot closer since this, and she checks in on me and it's really nice. The thing about friendships is your friends go weird. And I had two best friends that I grew up with. One that I knew since I was about 4 years old. One of them I'd known since I was in year 9. I considered them my best friends, my closest friends. And they ghosted me. It was really weird. I remember when I went back to Australia for Christmas, and this was before I was diagnosed, and my friend who I'd known since year 9, she's a doctor now, and then I told her I'd found a lump and she's like, yeah, it's probably nothing, but go get it checked. And I got that mammogram and ultrasound in Japan and they said I was fine. She's like, yeah, okay then. When I came back, I was like, look, it's still there and I think it's growing and I feel really weird about it. So she checked me. She got one of her friends to do a referral to a mammogram and ultrasound, thank God. But that's when it turned out to be cancer. And she knew about all this, checked in with me after I was diagnosed, and then that was about it. And then my other friend, during that time when I was like, can you check my boob because I'm really concerned? And my friend was like, look, you're probably going to have to get a biopsy. And I was like, oh, is it going to hurt? I'm really afraid it's going to hurt. And then the one that I'd known since primary school, she's like, well, either you get it checked or you don't. And I was just like, oh my God, thanks for being there for me. Oh my God. And then she's like, when are we going to hang out? And I was like, well, I have to book my mammogram and ultrasound because I leave Australia in a couple of days. I have a very limited time to do that. And it was just really weird. I thought the best way to just let everyone know about the diagnosis was to just post it on Instagram in one post so I could tell everyone. And then she was just like, very sad news indeed, on a comment. And then that was it. And then after that, I think she deleted me off Instagram and never checked in on me. The friend that I'd known since year 9, she texted me once and she was like, I'm always thinking of you. And I was like, oh, thanks. That's really nice. And then again, she was like, oh, how are you? And I was like, to be honest, I'm okay. And I was going through chemo. I was like, yeah, I got COVID. It was the worst possible time. I had pneumonia. I'm like, oh, talking about all of her problems. And I was just like, okay, cool. I think what really got me through this was all of my Breasties, cancer friends that I made on the internet. Cancer muggles, people who don't have cancer, don't understand this, but okay, you can have your friends and family support network, but if they don't have cancer, they don't understand how you feel. It was so important to me to find other people going through what I was going through, other young people going through what I was going through. And I found them on Instagram. I found a couple of them through this YouTube, and I'm so grateful. It makes such a huge difference because they know what you're going through. They know what you're feeling. They're probably feeling the same things, and they check in on you because even if you might seem fine, you're not fine. And it's just meant so much to me. But it's also strengthened a whole bunch of other friendships that I didn't realize were so close. So one of my friends, I know he watches, he's actually the cousin to my first boyfriend ever. Even though that guy and I broke up, we still kept in touch. But we have gotten so close since this. He lives in Canberra now, but when he came to Melbourne, he came to visit me, and I live really far away from where his parents live. And it was just really nice. And he spent the day with me, went to brunch, had a walk. We always text each other, mostly memes and stuff like that, check-ins and stuff. But it just really means so much to me. And I had no idea that we would be so close. And I'm really glad that we're close again. And then there's my 2 who I consider my best friends now from uni. So one of them I met just outside the tutorial for my first politics class. She was just sat on the floor and I was like, hey. And she's also Asian. Turns out she went to high school around the corner from me. Both of our parents had a food shop when we were growing up. So it's just too real. You get me. And then my other friend I met when I was studying Japanese at uni, and we check in on each other, which is really nice. And I'm really grateful for them. I've got another friend. Well, I've got my bestie in Japan who checks in now and then, but she's got a kid, so, I get it, she's busy. But then I've got another friend who, he was a sub, so I kind of saw him now and then, but he was the only other Australian guy, and that's why we became friends. He's just always checking in on me, and I'm really glad that I have these friends. I'm really grateful. And obviously my husband, he hasn't been there physically, but he checks in on me and gets me things if I need them. And I think I'm really lucky in the scheme of things to have such a good support network. All the Breasties that I've become close to through Insta. I even made a friend on Reddit, which is a different type of cancer to me, but it's just really nice to meet people who know what you're going through. These connections they mean so much. Don't suffer in silence. You need a vent. Sometimes you just need a vent. It's okay to not be okay, I think, is message throughout this. If you're going through your cancer journey, if you're just starting, if you're in the middle, if you're towards the end, if you're afraid, if you got anxiety, don't hold it in. Don't hold back. It's weird, the relationships that you thought were strong, turns out they're not strong, and the ones that you just didn't realize were strong are actually really strong. It's good to sort the wheat from the chaff, I guess. Stay tuned for more cancer things, expat life things.